Hello there, I'm MCP13 and I'm here to talk to you about infrastructure, technology and land, the three basic components of your nation. Now firstly, infrastructure. Infrastructure is defined as the services and facilities that support the day-to-day economic activity of your nation. Basically the roads, the railways, the post office. It's the basis of your nation's economy, because the more infrastructure you have, the more people you have, and the more people you have, the more taxes you get, which means that you get more money. But the more people you have also means that you have more improvements. The more improvements you have can mean that you have more people or more money coming in due to increased income or happiness, which means more taxes, which means more money, which means that the more infrastructure you have, the more money you can have, basically. Which means your war chest can grow quicker and quicker and quicker. Now, the best way to buy infrastructure is at the end of a back collection. Now, a back collection is a process where you, for 19 days, only pay your bills, and the way that you take advantage of this is that you have improvements which reduce your costs. So, labour camps, guerrilla camps, all these which will affect your happiness, population happiness, but will reduce your bills. And then at the end of the 19 days, you swap these improvements which affect your population happiness for improvements which will improve your incomes, and then you collect the money. Now, infrastructure, the more you buy it, the more of it that you have, the more it costs. It's a simple supply and demand situation. Now, there's a number of ways you can mitigate this. There's factories can reduce the purchase price by 10% per factory. So if you have 5 factories, that's a reduction of 50%. There are resources which can help with this as well. Coal reduces it by 4%, aluminium 7%, lumber 6%, rubber 3%, steel 2%, and marble 10%. As well as them, wonders can assist with the reduction in purchase price. The infrastructure system reduces it by 8%, the Mars base reduces it by 3%, and the Moon base reduces it by 4%. Now, as with everything in real life, there are costs of keeping everything working, keeping the wheels spinning. But there are ways that you can reduce upkeep, as I mentioned when I just talked about back collections. Now, you can use labour camps to reduce the cost of upkeep. One of these will reduce the amount that it costs by 10%. So 5 of them will reduce it by 50%. The resources which affect the upkeep costs are iron, which reduces it by 10%, uranium, which reduces upkeep by 3%, asphalt, which reduces it by 5%, construction, which reduces it by 5%, and lumber, which reduces it by 8%. Now, the effect of resources is cumulative. So if you've got iron and uranium, that's a 13% reduction in your costs. So it's quite significant. Infrastructure, affects how your military as well, because the more people you have, the more soldiers you can have, and it's also required for a number of wonders. So the Manhattan Project, the Weapons Research Complex, and the Fallout Shelter System. Next is technology. Now, technology represents the tools, hardware and software that help your nation do what it does. So this can be things like satellites, weather systems. In-game, it's worth 5 nation points per level, so it's quite significant. This compares to 3 nation strength points for infrastructure. Technology has a range of uses in-game. It increases your population happiness up to 200 technology. It reduces your infrastructure upkeep costs. It increases your spy odds, and has a wider effect on the general warfaring abilities of your nation. It increases the damage of ground attacks, cruise missiles, naval attacks, aircraft attacks, and most significantly, nuclear weapon attacks. Buying technology should happen at around about 4,000 infrastructure. Some people say less, some people say more. The technology, just like with infrastructure, is a simple, the more you buy, the more it costs. So the best way to acquire it is through, after a certain point, is through tech dealing. Because when you've got, say, 3,000 technology, the cost of an extra 100 is going to be a lot more than 6 million. Whereas if you're a tech seller, if you've got no technology whatsoever, that it's going to cost you less than 6 million to buy 100 technology and then to aid it to a larger nation. Now, purchasing technology, there are a couple of resources which can reduce the cost. Gold reduces it by 5%, and if you've got microchips, a bonus resource, that reduces it by 8%. Again, the effect is cumulative, so that would be a reduction of 13%. Now, it's, as I've mentioned, it has an important aspect in your ability to wage war. It's required for a number of wonders: the Agricultural Development Programme, the Fallout Shelter System, the Manhattan Project, and the Weapons Research Complex. Now, I can't understate how important technology is to your nation. I know it can be a hassle if you have unreliable tech dealers, or just remembering to log on, remembering to send the aid, to approve the aid that's been sent to you, but it is really, really important. Now, the last part is about land. Now, the amount of land obviously dictates the size of your nation. It grows naturally at half a mile every day, and it affects your population density, which affects your population happiness, which means if the higher happiness, obviously the higher the amount of money you're taking in. Now, just like with infrastructure, just like with technology, the more you have, the more it costs. But there are ways to mitigate this cost. Cattle reduces it by 10%. Fish reduces it by 5%. Furs triples your nation's natural growth, whilst spices increases the amount of land that you actually have by 8%. Now, land does have an effect in militarily. It can affect your ground attack odds, it can affect your spy odds, and most importantly, it has a very major effect with naval attacks. A nation with a navy can't sail below 1,500 miles, whilst when it comes to attacking and defending against naval attacks, both nations must have a minimum of 1,000 miles each, otherwise the attacks just can't happen. So yes, so to summarise, infrastructure is the more you have, the more money you take in. Technology, the more you have, the better you'll be able to wage war when push comes to shove. And with land, the more you have, the happier your people will be, but also the more you'll be able to launch naval attacks. So I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions at all, do ask on the forums. But otherwise, thank you very much.